Try not to get so much flashing glasses in this time. Pardon me. Oh, phlegmy. Not warmed up. Warm up. Let this be a lesson. Warm up. G'day guys, Willy here, and today I want to talk to you about the wonders of the land down under. That's right, the big OZ. Literally no one says that. If you've been to New Zealand, chances are you know about the brittle relationship that exists between us New Zealanders and our neighbours across the ditch. If you live in New Zealand, I can already see that you're just about to close this freshly disliked video, but if you'll hold on for just a second, I'd be happy to explain what I mean. New Zealand is a great place. We're a wee little country tucked down at the bottom of the world, and we're blessed with so many unique wonders. We have amazing musicians, amazing beer, cool birds, and indigenous people with a rich history, nice wine, weird politicians, flightless birds, high-teen pregnancy rates, rolling landscapes, birds that eat rubber. The list goes on. But despite all this neat stuff in our country, we seem to be plagued with a massive inferiority complex. That's a big claim, but let me break it down. It seems to me that New Zealand has a really unique dilemma. Firstly, we're at a really frustrating size. A size where we're big enough to be recognised internationally in a variety of fields, but usually not big enough to be a player. For instance, you might remember that in 2010, the New Zealand football team qualified for the World Cup finals for the first time in 28 years. That's a long sentence. Don't write long sentences, me, future me. Then, having managed to do that, the All Whites, as they are lovingly and slightly hilariously known, managed to scrape not one, not two, but 3 whole points from the group stage, including one against former world champions Italy. And they eventually went on to be the only undefeated team in the tournament. That's huge. I'm not denying that. That's huge for a little country. I loved every minute of that campaign. But from the way the country reacted, in particular the media, you'd have thought we won the bloody thing. Yes, the result was good for us, but in the grand scheme of the tournament, it wasn't impressive at all. New Zealand ended up ranking, what, 22nd? Right below, Secondly, if you're keeping count, we're in an annoying spot geographically. It's not like in Europe where you can hop in a car, drive for an hour and be 2 countries over. Because of this, the countries we're most closely affiliated with are our biggest trade partners and our historical leaders. All hail the Queen. This creaky chair, man, this is going to be a recurring thing. I went a bit off topic there, but the point I'm trying to make is that New Zealand and New Zealanders often feel the need to compare themselves to the big boys of the world. So there's all this pent-up animosity towards the world at large, and it has to go somewhere. So where does it go? Australia, of course. But why Australia? Well, I'm going to go ahead and boldly affirm that it is 95% geographical. Just like every other big international rivalry. It's not rocket surgery. We're closer to them than anyone else, so they're easier to yell at. But aside from that, it's really because the people are so similar. And you know what they say, familiarity breeds contempt. I can already hear the outraged cries coming from you, but think about it for a sec. New Zealanders and Australians, Kiwis and Aussies, are basically one and the same. From binge drinking culture, to iconic wildlife, to manly female politicians. New Zealand is Australia's cute little brother who is sick of being referred to as a little Aussie. Now before I delve any deeper into this, I just want to say that I'm fully aware that a lot of the hate directed at Australians is a joke or people being facetious. But the thing about that is, behaviour like that is almost always inherited. So yes, it's a joke now, but it was born of someone's genuine hatred. Growing up, I was certainly of the opinions that Australians sucked. You know, you learn it by proxy. Stupid Aussies this, dumb Australians that. Oh look, that guy did something idiotic. Probably Australian. No surprises there. Some Kiwis seem to be under the impression that all Australians are rude, arrogant, very tanned, and have a stupid accent. Okay, well most of them do have pleasingly bronze skin. That was creepy. That was bad. But some of our behaviour towards them is just as bad as we say they are. Minus the skin thing. I'm going to drop that. The sort of casual disdain that some people treat Australians with is pretty shocking. And some of it's borderline racist. Having met plenty of Australians as a more matured adult, it's obvious now that Australians are lovely, kind, funny people. I actually have 2 aunts and a sister who live in Australia now and have Australian partners. Sorry, 2 aunts and a sister. Couldn't help it, that was awful. And I don't have any less respect for them than any of my other relatives. Now, I'm not saying that everything about this rivalry is bad. Some of it's really healthy. Australia is a much bigger country than New Zealand, so it has a lot to offer us. Australia is far and away New Zealand's biggest trade partner, and this is good because it allows New Zealand products to compete directly with Australian products on shelves. And in other places that products go, like not shelves. Also, sport. Australia has reasonably large football or soccer and basketball leagues, and they each have one New Zealand team in them. This sounds a bit patronising, only having one team, but it's actually quite generous, even though New Zealand's one team in the Football League was nearly evicted recently. But it's mostly because it's shit. Basketball and football aren't exactly huge competitively in New Zealand. Yes, they're widely played, but the opportunities for professional athletes in those sports aren't exactly huge. So to have these leagues in Australia is a really great opportunity for New Zealanders who want to go and play in a professional league without having to go too far from home. If you've been following New Zealand or Australian news recently, you've probably seen the debacle going down regarding immigration policies. Basically, if you're an Australian moving to New Zealand, you get just about all of the benefits a New Zealand citizen would get, barring a few things like social security and tax benefits. However, if you're a Kiwi crossing the ditch, you're out of luck.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go back on the shelf.
I don't treat my soft toys like that, I'm not a sadist. You are ineligible for government support, aid, emergency programs, welfare, public housing and the disability support. New Zealanders can't get a student loan in Australia, while Australian students can. Now the Prime Ministers have been passively aggressively bringing it up every time they cross paths, and the media are eating it up. Just eating it up. It's such a good story to have 2 Prime Ministers of a country going at it with both hands behind their backs and their dicks out. It's this sort of thing that's really disappointing to me. Because to New Zealanders, it's the whole of Australia that's in the wrong, not just a bunch of conservative, white-haired politicians who refuse to budge. And so, this cycle of hate, joking or not, continues to perpetuate itself. But 99.9% of us are not politicians, and ultimately, we're the ones who need to change these attitudes. And I'm in no way suggesting that it's only New Zealanders in the wrong. The whole immigration problem is due to New Zealanders being seen as dole bludgers in Australia, something which in 2001 Helen Clark dubbed a modern myth. And then, that very year, the Australian government made those changes to their immigration policy regarding New Zealanders. Now, I don't have anything specific to say about that because I'm certainly not an expert on international relations, but to me, it sounds like this game between politicians of whose dick is bigger, which is stupid because we all know Helen Clark's was and still is. So, politics and diplomacy aside, what is there to actually love about Australia? Fucking everything, man. Cool people, a vibrant art scene, awesome sports teams, hilarious YouTubers, great holiday destinations, wildlife that varies from adorable to terrifying. For New Zealanders especially, it's a great getaway for when you want a change of scene, but still want to be inside your comfort zone. I could go on and on and on about all the great things in Kangaroo Land. But I won't, because that's not actually the point. I just hope you give Australia another chance. Thanks, guys. Woo! That was kind of long-winded. I've been recording this for nearly 40 minutes. If you made it to the end of this, well done. If you agree or disagree or have anything else to add, scroll down to the comments and let me know. I feel like I only touched the surface with the whole Australia-New Zealand rivalry, But I hope you can take something away from this anyway. This video will hopefully be the first of many, so if there's something that you think isn't so bad, but people think is, why don't you scroll down to the comments and tell me what it is. I'd love to hear any and all feedback. And I'm sure you love hearing my creaky chair. See you around, guys.